this is where all of my money goes. Every time a bill comes, I just hate owning a home because who needs to pay $250 for fucking electric?
I used to think owning a home was the ultimate goal, but lately, I've been hearing from homeowners who say they actually regret buying. Between constant maintenance, surprise repairs, and the pressure to always have savings for emergencies, renting, on the other hand, you don't have to worry about fixing things. And if you're lucky, there's usually a gym or pool on site. In this video, you'll hear stories from real homeowners regretting their purchase.
I do not understand the point of owning a home. Not only do you have to pay an outrageous amount of money for a down payment on the house, but everything that breaks is then your responsibility to fix it. I don't have to bring my trash cans to the end of the street on trash night. All of my neighbors are super close, so I could just walk from apartment to apartment and meet friends easier. Anything that comes up, literally anything, I walk across the street to my leasing office, bang on their door and say, hey, I need this fixed. Now, I don't have to pay anybody for it. You're telling me if I have a house, I have to call somebody in special to come and fix something, and then I have to pay them extra money to do it? I don't really think I'm interested in that. I don't want to mow my lawn, and I don't want to shovel snow in the winter. I just don't get the point of having a home.
Are there people out there that have gone from owning a home back to like renting a home or an apartment? And why did you do it? Was it for the convenience or for the money saving or for both? Because lately I've been thinking that that would just be way easier. And everyone says that owning is better, owning is better. It's a lot of work. Keeping up the outside of a house and the inside is a lot of work. And we pay like double what we would pay renting to own a house. And I'm like, I feel like it would just be smarter to go back to an apartment and not have a gym and a pool, and I wouldn't have to take care of anything. And that just sounds like a better deal right now, especially with like how expensive everything is in the world. Has anybody done this? Is this a thing? I need to get on that side of TikTok. I want to hear everybody's opinion on this.
So I've been a first-time homeowner for about a year now, and there's one thing that I'm almost regretting that I wanted, that I fought for, that I convinced my wife the house needed to have, and it's this damn pool. Look, everyone's situation is different, so I don't want to derail you from buying a home with a pool. Just learn from my mistakes. You see, a pool is expensive. Obviously, I'm assuming you will know. Well, shit, I didn't know that. During the summer, the water evaporates, so you're constantly adding water to this thing, the water bill. Then this thing needs to be filtered and on for about 6 to 7 hours. Light bill. My pool is a salted pool. The maintenance is different than a chlorine pool, so learn the difference. But anyways, either you learn to clean it yourself, and I don't mean taking the dirt off. No. There's a science to this thing, and if not, it's about $150 for someone to do it. We're not even done yet. Then there's these little components here that burn out or need to be replaced from time to time. Money. Oh, this is where it gets good for me. The winter came and the problems came. It gets too damn cold to get in this cold water during the winter, so you got to warm it up. That's gas. Money. I was getting upset that I couldn't use the pool, so I said the hell with that. We're warming up this thing and we're getting our money's worth. I started to smell gas every time I passed through here. There was a gas leak. The whole piping needed to be changed. Well, problem solved? Well, no, not really. A couple weeks later, this thing burns out and the whole heater needs to be replaced. A heater costs about $5,000. That's not with labor and installation. Eventually, I have to change it. If not, I can't swim in the winter. Pool guy says that I need to resurface the floor because it's never been resurfaced and it's getting black somewhere there. So that's a couple $1,000. And you know what's one of the things that we didn't even think about? We have young kids. They don't know how to swim. We couldn't just come out and let them out to the backyard and play while we cook in the kitchen or anything. No, because they will fall in the pool, and now we have something tragic that would happen. So the house didn't come with this fence around the pool. We had to install it. That was like $3,000 just for the fence. Look, I know I'm sitting here venting to you guys, and almost regretting my decision with this damn pool. I guess just learn from my mistakes. Look at the little things that I just kind of mentioned that I was naive about. You want to see another video with other things that I kind of regret that you should consider when looking at a home? Let me know, because there's more that I probably should have researched before and consider. For example, palm trees. Let me know, leave a comment. I'll give you more.
I think one of my biggest pieces of advice for first-time homebuyers, and one of my regrets, so learn from my mistakes, is to slow down. Most of my first-time homebuyers, myself included, are buying fixer-uppers, right? Like, it's where we live is super expensive. Most of them need a little bit of work, and you want it done so fast. Sit on it for a little while. See what works in the house. See what floors you like. Figure out your style. Make a Pinterest board. I immediately got a new privacy fence. Ordered a custom back door, like new carpet. Honestly, looking back, I spent way too much money. And then I would make more money and I would still spend it because I wanted to get the house done, and it's still not done. And also, I didn't know my style and what I wanted. So now looking back, I would honestly change a lot of what I did. Even if you have it, don't spend all your money, please. That is one of my biggest regrets, and it doesn't happen overnight. Making a house a home takes time, and I mean, here I am 3 years later, still renovating, obviously. So it's just chill out a little bit. Just chill, feel the house, figure out what you like, save up a little bit of money, and just know that you're gonna get there eventually, but making a house a home does take time.
So I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I told y'all I got this house in Dallas, Texas for around $375 or whatever. Living in a nice area. And I don't know if this shit is worth it, bro. Not only did I put $10,000 out of my savings, this $3,000 mortgage, man, I am literally house poor. I don't know if just having my own space is worth not being able to do anything else. I miss having a little apartment and going out and doing whatever I want and buying whatever I want. And I understand the long-term investment and all that shit, but I don't even care about money. And I make $124. I feel I shouldn't have to work a fucking side job. And my mom was always pushing me to go to house, get a house, get a house. And now that I have it, I don't think this shit worth it, especially if you're single. Any thoughts?
Did you guys hear about this? 86% of millennials who are selling their homes that bought their homes in the pandemic regret ever purchasing that home in the first place. That time period is going to be a case study for decades. Rates were at the lowest that they've ever been, with 2.5% to 3% interest rate. And everyone was moving to the countryside because they could finally work remote. And now the landscape of real estate has completely shifted, with interest rates hovering around 7%, and employers are rolling back their remote work policy. As a mortgage lender during that time, I can tell you this: it was not healthy, the amount of home buyers that felt so much pressure to put in an offer on a home that they never got to see the inside of. None of this comes as a shock to me whatsoever. As frustrating as it's been with these higher interest rates around 6 to 7%, it's honestly been a healthy dose of a good market, because a lot of home buyers and sellers are giving themselves times to figure out their next move. You can now go to a house, take a look at it, come back a day later, look at it again, dream a little bit, make a good, wise decision. And who knows, in the next 12 to 18 months, maybe we'll see even interest rates in the 5.
Why do people think it's cheaper to buy a house than to rent an apartment?
Okay, so when y'all trying to buy a house, right? First and foremost, buying it today, the interest rates are 6.97%. That's a fuck no, okay? So, not saying you shouldn't buy a house right now. You can refinance it after this, but that's a very high interest rate. I didn't buy neither one of my houses was at 6 point anything, half of that. I think my last house was 3.4, this one 3.2. So off rip right now, it's not going to be a great time. However, I don't pay $3,000 for this $500,000 house. And I heard you say something else about you have to pay 10% down. No, you do not. No, you do not. I did not put $50,000 down on this house. No, I did not. They called my phone the day I was supposed to close, and they said, "How much do you want to put down?" And I said, "Excuse me? I get to tell you, yes, because my credit was so good that they trust that I'm going to pay it back. Now, the amount that I said my, payment would be would dictate my monthly payments. Now, I told her I wanted them to be less than $3,000 a month. And so she was like, well, I think you can put down around $20,000. So that's how much I put down on this house. Mind you, this is a $500,000 house though. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, even with my first house, I did not put down 10%. So honestly, I've never had to deal with that. I've always been asked how much I want to put down, and that's going to just determine how my monthly payments work. I also want to talk about escrow, okay? Because a lot of people get a lot of things mixed up. Escrow incorporates your mortgage, your property tax, and your insurance. All of that is bundled up into a happy meal that you pay every month. Okay, so if you wanted to pay all of your, so my mortgage is probably like $1,000 something, and then my insurance on top of that, and all of that, like I said, is bundled into that deal. So when y'all talk about mortgage, everybody's mortgage and stuff is going to be a little bit different in that aspect. But I think the biggest thing to understand is your credit and your utilization and how you pay back and all that kind of stuff. That is what is going to determine how much you have to put down. Because let's think about it like this. Let's just say your cousin, one of the bad cousins, I don't know, but one of them cousins came up to you and they was like, can I hold $1,000? The first thing that's going to come to your mind is, do they pay people back? And that's the same thing these people trying to do when you go asking them for a house and for a loan, okay? They want to know, can you pay it back? So they need to go down your history to see. Now, a big portion of why I didn't have to pay here is because I had a smaller house before and they could see those payments. I had a car, they could see those payments. And not only did I pay them, I paid twice a month. So I made it look even better to the loan people when I went up there. It looked better. So they like, shoot, we'll give you anything. What you want? You want some more money added? I was like, absolutely not. Now let's just slow down. I don't need no more money. Just cover the house. We all right. You know what I'm saying? But it just all boils down to your credit. But I'm not gonna say this house is cheaper. If you want to compare the square footage to anything, it's clearly cheaper. Like, I have over an acre of land. It's clearly cheaper than what you're gonna rent anywhere in Atlanta because it's bigger. So it's cheaper regardless. And I've been in this house for 2 years. So if I just up and didn't have the money no more, I could sell it. I mean, I could borrow money against the house if I want. I don't do nothing like that. I ain't doing that. But I could. See, there's a lot of other things and benefits. Also, I get a check sometimes. Like, if my property tax for the year, because when you do an escrow, they calculate an estimate of what your taxes is going to be so that you don't have to pay taxes out of pocket. You're paying it once a month within your mortgage. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all with me? So that's just an estimate though. Sometimes that estimate is over how much your property taxes are actually going to be. And at the end of the year, when they pay it, they give you a check back for the difference. There's so much that, like, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, but yeah. If y'all have any other questions, I'm just off the dome right now, so this ain't like no structured type of conversation. Sorry about that. But if y'all have like actual questions that you want me to answer, just drop them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. But like I said, this is not the time to be purchasing a house. Also, this is a brand new house too. I think he talked something about like the fees. I always highly recommend people to get brand new homes because that's going to eliminate a whole lot of things. And insurance pays for a lot of things. Yeah, we could talk all day, but ask the questions below, please. Thanks.
I'm going to say something, and I'm going to risk sounding extremely privileged. I know it's a privileged statement, but it's a conversation that I still think is important to have. I'm 29 years old, and I purchased my first home at 27. right at the tail end of being 27, right before I turned 28. And I kind of regret it. I do regret it. I bought a home too soon. I bought a home before I actually was ready. And I was doing it because I felt this pressure to check certain milestones. You know, I'm looking around at people around me. I'm looking at other people's beanstalks. And I'm feeling this pressure to accomplish a certain thing by a certain timeline in my life. A timeline that I literally imposed upon myself. I was in a long-term relationship from 22 to 27, right after I turned 27. And yeah, I think a part of me stayed in that relationship because I thought that by 30, life was going to be a certain way. And when I went through that breakup, I kind of started over from scratch, moved into an apartment and started rebuilding my life. And so I think I felt this urgency to buy a house because it would have made my ego ultimately feel safer and be like, okay, well, I might not have might not be married yet with kids, but at least I bought a house. And yeah, I felt like I needed to buy a house. When I got out of that relationship and got into an apartment, I was like, I'm gonna buy a house. And I always felt like it was such a great financial decision. If I'm paying rent every month and it's disappearing, where is it going? If I can buy a house, I can make an investment. I've seen a lot of people in my time working in finance make a lot of money in real estate. So I was like, okay, I want to be the most financially smart. Buying a house was not the most financially smart thing for me because it increased my cost of living substantially. I went from paying $1,700 a month in rent to a mortgage payment with after the HOA fee of $2,600. And initially, when I was in contract to buy my house, I was going to have my sister move in with me and rent from me. So when I went into the contract to buy the house, I was kind of planning on having a roommate. But then things fell apart because my sister's addiction was kind of ramping back up. And I guess I could have moved a stranger in, but I just didn't feel like the whole purpose of buying this house was to get into a place of safety to heal. And I felt like having a stranger in my house, that wouldn't help. So I started putting a ton more money towards my living expenses every month. And then 2 months, no, not 2 months, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. 8 months after purchasing my house, I lost my job. And then I'm stuck with this house. You can't sell a house for at least 2 years without paying short-term capital gains on taxes. And selling a house is expensive. You have to pay for the seller agent's commission. You have to pay also for the buyer's agent commission. So you're paying for whoever purchases your house, their real estate agent too. You have excise tax, you have title fees, potentially short-term capital gains. Selling a house is very expensive, not to mention getting it ready to sell, whatever that looks like. Okay, so what would be the other option is you could move a tenant in and you could then go find some other way of living, but then you have to deal with a tenant and managing a rental property and everything that comes with that. And I just bought a house too soon. And it was not the best financial decision for me. And I just don't think it's talked about enough. Purchasing a home is important, but purchasing a home when you're ready is more important. And I feel maybe it's just where I grew up in small town America, but it's I felt like there was so much outside pressure to hit certain milestones, and I was forcing myself to do things or pushing myself to meet those milestones when I wasn't even ready for it. So now I'm in a position where I'm 29 and I'm going to sell my house. I was going to move a tenant in and rent it out, and I just realized I don't want to deal with that. It's the home that I bought is in my hometown, and I don't want to have to deal with going back and dealing with it and all of that kind of stuff. So buying a home before I was ready was not the best financial decision, and I just think we need to have this conversation more. And yes, I'm so grateful that I was in a position to be able to purchase a home. Don't get me wrong, I recognize the privilege behind this conversation. I know there's so many people that want to be in the position of being homeowners and maybe aren't there just yet because the housing market's crazy, rates are crazy, You know, we don't need to get into that conversation. We're underpaid, but moral of the story, I recognize the privilege and I still think it's an important conversation to be had.
I hate being a homeowner. There, I said it. I said it and I meant it. And I hate it so much that we're moving out of our house and into an apartment. But not just any apartment, into a loft in the city with 10-foot ceilings, exposed brick, floor to ceiling windows, because I need this move for my mental health. So I decided that this was going to be the year that I focus on myself and I just free myself of all the things that were stressing me, that I didn't like, that just made me unhappy. And then I took a look around me and I realized that one of the main things that were stressing me out was trying to renovate this damn house. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. I saw a girl on here and her response said that rent is the maximum that I will pay and a mortgage is the bare minimum that I will pay. That I've never heard anything more true, and that's exactly why I'm moving. Every time I turn around, there's another expense. There's something to pay for. Something's broke, something needs to be fixed or replaced. I don't want to deal with that. And I personally make enough money where I could live in a nice place, where I don't have to be in a house in the suburbs renovating a 1970s fixer-upper on a budget. Like and I choose not to. So we're moving. If you want to see our journey from moving from a house in the suburbs on an acre of land to a fun little loft in the city, follow along because it's going to be fun.
I'm in the process of buying my very first house as a 28-year-old with no kids. I'm not married. I am in a relationship. I close in 7 days and I feel like I should be super excited right now and happy, but in reality, I am terrified and I am so nervous and I want to back out, but it is literally way too late in the process for me to back out. And I've missed my last chance to do that. And so now I am just like sitting here and regretting my decision, but we're just gonna have to make it work. We're gonna have to figure it out. And yeah, I'm gonna be house poor. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna afford food. I don't know how I'm gonna afford gas. I don't know what I'm doing. Who let me do this? In about a month, I'm moving from the home that I own in Washington, D.C., and I'm moving back into an apartment. And I feel like in this economy, this home, like, purchasing economy, like, it probably is confusing for a lot of people on why somebody that is a homeowner would leave the home that they own to go rent an apartment, especially with rent prices being crazy. But honestly, it's the best decision for me and my daughter, and I'm gonna go through the reasons, but honestly, I feel like the list is endless. Okay, number one, I am a single woman, a single mother, and I feel like living in a house, you have a little less security than you do when you live in a large apartment building that has like secured entry, a doorman, maybe even like security personnel on staff, cameras everywhere. And I feel very vulnerable in my home at times. And look, I have a security system, shout out ADT. Not sponsored, but go ahead and do it if you'd like. I have Ring cameras, but I just feel like it's not the same as having the extra level of security that you have living in a large building. So for instance, I do go on dates and I date people, and I feel like you can Google someone and figure out their address pretty quickly, especially when you're a homeowner. There's just like databases where that information is publicly available. And so if someone got really weird after a date, like, what are you gonna do? Is somebody gonna be waiting for me outside my house? Well, I don't know. And I've had really weird situations where I felt uncomfortable. And I drive up to my house and be like, okay, I hope that guy's not here. He's being really weird in text today. He's sounding weird. Hope he's not outside, because if he is, like, what am I gonna do? So that's one. And these are kind of the things that you think about when you're a single woman that I feel like other people don't have to think about. But that is something I think about, and I think about it enough that I'm just over it. on like to that point, we're going to stay on that point for now, and maybe this will be like a few videos, but like even when someone delivers something to your house, people are weird, and once they know who lives there, like there's nothing you could do about it. You're just there, you're just on your own, and someone has your address. So I don't like the safety aspect of it, and maybe it's just where I live, but I'm not feeling that. The second thing is like, my house was built in 1942. I mean, you can see I try to do a little something in here, just a little something. But at the end of the day, unless you like a home that's a little bit older, if you like that aesthetic, look, if you like that aesthetic, you'll be happy. I thought that I could buy this house at a lower price and slowly update it to my liking, and I haven't been able to. It's way more time intensive than I ever anticipated, and that means that I have to find like every fixture, find a person that's reliable to come do it. When a professional comes to do something, they always uncover like 67 other things that need to be done for this one item to be fixed. And it's very overwhelming managing that when I have so much other stuff going on. And I feel like I'm tired of being responsible for this stuff. I miss having a maintenance man. Like, having maintenance is so underrated. Like, for instance, the handle on my storm door broke off due to cold weather. The mail delivery person like went to open it, it was locked, it like snapped because it's like old and it was cold. And it has taken me months to find the specific door handle that fits on this screen door. So I have not had a door handle on my screen door for months. And if I lived in a building with maintenance, something like this would have been fixed in a week. I'm getting annoyed just thinking about it, guys. Okay, so that's that. I mean, the number of things you need to upkeep when you're a homeowner is insane. I think another issue that I just really didn't want to deal with that I thought that I did was like the landscaping. So even in DC, where I have a small plot, the front yard and backyard are overwhelming. So, I mean, I have people who mow the grass, but then the people who mow the grass don't necessarily do like other maintenance on the yard. So like weeding and things like that are something that I'd have to do. And if I don't have time to do it, it gets out of control. Besides the weeding and stuff, like if you want to plant like annual flowers, like whatever, like it's just a lot of stuff to deal with. And I have like way too much going on. And I feel like I wasn't prepared when I bought this house. I think like people will tell you that it's important to be a homeowner, but they are not realistic about how much work and responsibility goes into home ownership outside of just, oh, you're building equity. I feel like I've already talked too much, but I'm happy to make like a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on why owning isn't everything that I want it to be. And I'm like counting down the days until I get back into an apartment, even if it's going to cost more, even if other people think it's stupid, even if it's throwing away money. I'm counting down the moments.